If you design your environment so that you're automatically going to rise, that you cannot sink, you'll eventually get to where you want to go.
If you had like imparting words of wisdom, it could be from your book, because what I want to do a couple rapid fire at the end just to pull out some insight.
Yeah.
Imparting words of wisdom for young entrepreneurs from your book, or just, from your life experience. What would those final thoughts be if somebody wants to start their own business, move, upskill, new job, new promotion, just level up in life? Yeah.
So in my book, Genius Within, I broke down a lot of these things that we've been talking about, including the $10,000 an hour activities. And when you know your genius, where you're one of the best in the world at, like, man, Michael Jordan putting his name on Jordan sneakers, that did really well.
It didn't do bad at all.
I'm wearing Jordan still because his name, right? And the brand is great. So you figure out your zone of genius, you leverage your zone of genius, be very, very intentional about it. Most of us don't have enough clarity about our zone of genius. That's why it's the first domino to fall. You got 5 C's, and the first C is clarity. If you get more clarity, guess what? You're going to show up with more confidence. If I show up with more confidence, guess what I'm going to show up with? Also more courage. And because of the greater courage that I show up with, I'm also going to lead and make decisions and act with greater conviction. And then when I have greater conviction, my commitment level is going to rise. But the first domino to fall, the first C, is clarity. That's why Socrates said, to know thyself is the beginning of all wisdom. To know thyself is the beginning of all wisdom. So, you want to be a great leader? You want to build a great business? Know yourself. Know yourself better than anyone else, because then you can put yourself in extraordinarily right positions. So, go back to another guy, one of the oldest guys I've ever talked to, but still bright and brilliant. D. Hawk. Do you know who D. Hawk is?
I actually don't know who. You mentioned a couple that I know. I know Drucker, but I don't know who D. Hawk is. Yeah.
Most people don't know him, but most have used one of his products. Do you have a Visa card?
I do.
All right. So he's the creator of Visa.
Really?
Founder of Visa. Yeah. So I talked to him last year. He was 98 years old at the time. He founded a little company called Visa, as in Visa credit cards. And after he retired and sold his equity in Visa, he started writing for Harvard and writing for all these other publications about leadership. And one of the things he found over and over and over again with the very best leaders in the world, they did something that ordinary leaders did not do, which was they focused more than 50% of their leadership energy on leading themselves. So we think of, where's my best leadership energy? Leading others, leading up, leading down, leading sideways. Nope. Leading myself. Emotional leadership. Putting myself in emotional self-management. Studying myself. Putting myself in the right position. Leading my company in the right way. Having that self-reflective moments. That's what the best people in the world do. Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay. Wins the Super Bowl first year with no training camp. COVID, pandemic, new team, new playbook, everything's going wrong. They suffer. He screws up a couple times in a public way and can't get in sync, right? But then they have a bye week last year. The bye week, he gets everybody right, and he had enough determination, enough confidence, enough self-leadership that he's like, we'll figure this out, guys. We will. And they did. So self-leadership.
Very good. If people want to get more of this book, if they want to connect with you, where do they go?
You can go to the Genius Within. It's geniuswithinbook.com. I've got a free copy there, guys. Just have to pay the shipping and handling. Or you can get it on Amazon. I will also have an Audible version very, very soon. And then you can also get a 6 steps to finding your genius guide. Just text the word genius U to 474747. And that's where we'll start. And of course, on my Instagram, I have a link and all that jazz too.
Okay, cool. And most important question, are you doing your own Audible?
I am. Yes, yes.
Good.
Well, because
Good.
most people want the author to actually read it, so
I
that's
know.
why I don't necessarily like to read it as much. But yeah,
All right, let's do a couple of rapid fire just to close this out. So, biggest challenge that you've had in your personal or professional life, what was that? How'd you overcome it?
shame of failure. I'm a type 3 on the Enneagram. Man, when all that stuff hit in 2018, 2019, dude, I wanted to be the dog with the tail between his legs, the ostrich with the head in the sand. And I was at times. There was moments where I was just hiding. I wanted to hide. I was embarrassed. I was frustrated. I was sad. I was despairing. All the juicy stuff there. But battling through that, that's where I went really deep on. I was like, I got to fill my tank. And I know this is going to be a seed that becomes a setup, a setback that becomes a setup, a setback that prepares me for my comeback. But I had to really train myself and overcome those fears and traumas. And I also had to create an alter ego. Like I called my shameful self Weak Willie. And then I called my badass self Magic Mike, because I had a client nickname me Magic Mike because I was creating magic in her life. So I had to redo that whole identity.
If you had to choose one person, although there's been many, but one person who's had the biggest impact on your life, who was that person? What did they teach you?
Living wise, I would say Tony Robbins. I mean, besides parents, of course, but Tony Robbins. I spent 1,447 hours with Tony, going to his platinum partner, his other mastermind experiences. The dude is a gem. I think he's a saint. He's a force for good. No one more impactful, in my opinion, than Tony. And inspiring and imprinting upon me belief.
It's funny, you know that program that you mentioned from Tony Robbins? Everybody who, I can't remember the name of the program you just mentioned at the beginning, but everybody who I know, yes, anybody who's taken that program has said that's been the single most impactful, powerful thing they've ever done in their life. Like that's like what just like changed the course of their life. So something to be said for that. He's been doing this for a while too. So he's been doing it for a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Your favorite source to learn or grow, a book, podcast, something you'd recommend that you like.
I love mastermind experiences are my favorite. That's why I host my own masterminds. I think there's nothing faster for growing, because you grow in identity when you're around a select group of 15 to 20 other high achievers. And you see that, hey, I'm learning from them. I can do just as good as them, but also the collaboration and the synergy. It opens up your tribe. When your tribe lifts and rises, guess what? Your identity rises by default. One of the things I ask my mastermind members in my symposium mastermind, which is for the successful thought leader, what I ask is, hey, what does my environment have to look like for success as I define it to be inevitable? Because if you design your environment so that you're automatically going to rise, that you cannot sink, you'll eventually get to where you want to go.
I love that. Very good. That's a good recommendation. No one's ever said that. They always default to a book or podcast, which is not a bad thing. But yeah. I know people host masterminds, but
too. So
yeah, I know you do. I appreciate that. That's good. If you could tell your 20-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
Invest in a mastermind, being a part of a high-level mastermind sooner. Because, I was reading books and doing seminars and online courses and all that, but it wasn't until I got real relationships and that my identity and my belief barriers were shattered. Like when I was in Tony Robbins' Platinum Partner, the first 2 days I was there, I was like the youngest guy. I squeaked in on my credit cards. It's a $100,000 a year program. And I'm like, I don't belong here. Because of the guys, second guy I had dinner with, he had just sold his business for $110 million. But by the end of that week and by the end of that first year, I was like, yeah, I do belong here. They're no smarter than me. I can figure this out. They just used their genius at a higher point of leverage.